Hello, I'm Dr. Rama, fertility consultant at Roshni Fertility Center, Visakhapatnam. The topic which I'm going to discuss today is before starting IVF. How do you assess a patient and what do you counsel about the reserve and how do you prognosticate a case and how do you explain success rates of IVF. So, before starting IVF, you should know what an IVF procedure is. IVF procedure involves a lot of hormonal injections, lot of hormonal injections to increase the number of mature eggs. So, and the response of the patient is different for different persons. So, different people will respond in a different way. So, without doing ovarian reserve test, you cannot prognosticate a case of IVF. So, it is important to know the ovarian function of a patient before prognosticating and explaining the success of IVF. So, this ovarian reserve tests are usually done you combining two tests, that are the blood test and also the ultrasound. The first blood test which we do is the AMH. It is also called as anti-Mullerian hormone. It is produced from the follicles of follicles, and AMH decreases with the age. As the woman ages, see, this is how it is shown. As the woman is aging and is nearing about 40 to 42 to 45, the AMH level slowly drops down. So AMH is not cycle specific. It is also not specific. You can get it done on any day of the cycle. So this is how a normal ultrasound looks, where the AMH is normal, and there are patients where the AMH is too high, and that is typically indicated by a case of PCOD, where the follicles are more and the AMH also will be more. And the second important test is the follicle stimulating hormone. And how do you do that? You call the patient. If the patient is having regular cycles, you call the patient on day 2, on day 3 of the cycle and of the period, and you take the blood test. If the patient is having irregular cycles, then you have to call the patient before and start her on progesterone and ask her to come on day 2 or day 3 of the withdrawal bleeding. How do you assess? You have to, when the patient calls you, you have to tell that day 1 is a day excuse me, day 1 is a day when the patient started heavy bleeding. And FSH, unlike the AMH, is not produced from the follicle. It is produced by the pituitary gland. And the next one is the ultrasound. And by ultrasound, after doing an ultrasound, you can label the patient as a hyporesponders depending upon the antral follicular count. Combining AMH and FSH, you have to come to a conclusion of whether the patient is a normal responder or whether she is going to be a hyperresponder or a poor responder. Depending on that particular thing, you have to ask the patient to come for counseling, and then you have to start her on the stimulation, ovarian stimulation drugs. They are usually gonadotropins. Depending on the protocol, whether it's a long protocol or the short protocol, we start her on analogs or GnRH analogs, or you start her on antagonist also. This is how a mature oocyte looks like. Once the stimulation is done for about 10 to 14 days, and once the mature egg is ready, you collect the egg along with the follicular fluid by a procedure called ovum pickup procedure. So this is how a mature oocyte looks like with a sunburst appearance. And this is how a mature endometrium, secretory endometrium, which is ready for implantation, looks like. And so this is an ultrasound of a normal responder, and you collect the eggs, and here around say mature eggs are 4, and both the ovaries together you might get around 6 to 8 mature eggs, and they are labeled as normal responders. And if they have good embryos, you can directly go and have them for implantation. This is an ovary of a hyperresponder, so you should be very cautious when giving FSH doses, because you have to start with a very low dose, because these patients whose AMH is too high and LH ratio is very high, and having PCOS, these are the patients, they are going to land up in OHSs. Again, you have to sit up with the patient and counsel her. If she is getting into hyperstimulation, you have to cancel the cycle, freeze all the embryos, and go for a frozen embryo transfer in the next cycle. So this is an ovary of a poor responder. You're seeing here only 2 follicles are seen with a very large follicles, a lot of fluid. Probably there might be cysts also, we don't know. And again, you have to sit up with the patient, check the estrogen levels. If the estrogen levels are too low, if it's around 80 something like that, you have to cancel the cycle. Explain to her and cancel the cycle. And if it's around 200 or 400 like that, you can ask her, tell them that you might get 1 or 2 eggs, and then you have to, these are the patients who are of elderly age, and you have to counsel them that the likely embryos might be carrying a diploidy, and even if they implant, they might have a higher chance of miscarriage. So the poor the prognosis, the poor responders are, we are having a new marker called as insulin-like growth factor. The day cycle insulin-like growth factor, serum levels are used as a prognostic tool to predict the control ovarian hyperstimulation outcomes in poor responders. So what happens in as the patient is aging, what the insulin-like growth factor increases. So once you measure the levels, if the levels are more, you somehow have to get the insulin-like growth factor down, and the prognosis of the patient will be improving by doing this. And this is at the research level and not being done in all the IVF centers. With this, so this is how we, this is the structure of insulin-like growth factor. With this, I would like to conclude my talk, and bottom line of the talk is that when the patient comes, you have to take into different factors. The most important thing for ovarian function is the ovarian reserve test, and ovarian reserve tests have to be done, and then sit up with the patient, counsel her, and regarding the success depends on her ovarian response. As the age is increasing, the lesser number of mature eggs are produced, and the poorer is the prognosis. Normal age women are likely to have a success rate about 25 to 30%, and you have to be very cautious when inducing PCOS patient who are prone for hyperstimulation syndrome, and you have to see that they will never hyper respond, and the unit should be very good in cryopreserving all the frozen embryos and later transferring the frozen embryos. And thank you very much for the patient listening.